Welcome to Courtney on Health on malcolmpresents.com. And we're welcoming Courtney back from her extensive trip to London and Paris that we've just been filled in about. Hey, Courtney.
Ooh la la, ooh la la.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bon appetit. Bon appetit. Okay. we always.
Anyway, Max, bring us into the show.
I'll bring you guys in to the usual, because Courtney was away and we're just trying to get some of her experience that we'll ask her after. And so hi to Courtney, welcome back, and hi to Malcolm out in the coast, and welcome to Courtney on Health, a Zoomcast series about how to get through these COVID, monkeypox, crazy times, with tips on nutrition and exercise given by Courtney Gravenese, registered dietitian with a Master of Science degree in nutrition and applied physiology. Courtney is an experienced nutritional and health consultant in the New York metro area and beyond into the universe, and will help guide you on a path to wellness and health. So summer is not complete without eating juicy, delicious watermelon, which is a staple at many summertime picnics and gatherings around the country. Most people agree that watermelon is a tasty, sweet treat, but a majority are unaware of its many health benefits. Watermelon is packed with lycopene, more than almost any other fresh fruits or vegetables, so I've read. Lycopene is an antioxidant linked to decreased risk of cancer, heart disease, age-related eye disorders, and more. So Courtney, again, was just back from a wonderful vacation in the EU. She was visiting the Queen and visiting Paris. Maybe Moulin Rouge. I don't know. Do they serve watermelons in Moulin Rouge? So anyway, I don't know if they do. That was my first question. She's going to give us some great info on the benefits of watermelon.
Well, anyway, guys, I'm not so sure if I really care about the benefits of watermelon. All I know is when I see the watermelon, you just cut it, Courtney. I just start salivating. And I taste it in my mouth.
That's beautiful.
That fresh, juicy taste. And
wow.
Watermelon, I always associate with summer. I know now we can have it all year round, but when I see watermelon, I'm thinking of June, July, and August.
Yes, and a little bit of September. So yes, it's good to see you both again. Yes, back to amazing, gorgeous, beautiful city. So great time. We did have a decent amount of watermelon there. It was one of the watermelons they were serving, perhaps because it's seasonal there too, like it is for us here in the a good part of the United States. So yeah, most of us associate watermelon with summertime. That is because, at least particularly in certain parts of the country, that's when the crops come in, right? So we're getting in a large amount of it, and it certainly tastes the best. I will say that this time of year is where you will find more often than not the whole watermelons. And let's just talk about that for a second. You can certainly buy cut up watermelon year round, just like you said, Malcolm. I tend to be a little bit of a watermelon snob when it comes to eating watermelon, because you can't rinse watermelon after it has been cut up by somebody else. I feel like, and again, you can get foodborne illness from pretty much anything, but I feel like the whole watermelon is one of the best ways to get the freshest, sweetest fruit that you can get, but also you are less likely, because it is a completely sealed rind, you're less likely to get any kind of foodborne illness. The fewer people touching your food, the better it is. Less foodborne illness, probably better nutrition, and less expensive. So, of course, you don't want to waste. I've noticed that I'm seeing more smaller melons like these versus the big ones around. Which makes a little bit of sense, because if you're a smaller family, it might be a little difficult to blow through one of those bigger watermelons. So to pick one, and I know, Maxine, we were talking a little bit about this. Just like many fruits, you want to pick one that has that's heavy for its weight. And what that would mean is there's a lot more water in there than not. You don't want something that's been dehydrated. And quite frankly, that's the same rule for almost any fruit that you would pick up, particularly like citrus fruits. Like if you're picking up a grapefruit or an orange, or a clementine, it should feel heavy for its weight. I know some people who do the trick, and by the way, I'm not good at the thumping trick. I've never gotten that. It's lost on me. But the heavy for its weight makes a lot of sense. The other thing you want to look for, and it's almost right on cue, I don't know if you guys can see that spot.
Right, that spot we spoke about. Yeah.
Ideally, it should be yellowish. You will probably see a spot on almost all watermelons, but if it's very anemic looking, very light green or almost white, pale, like a white color, that might not mean that it was ripened on the vine. And the longer that watermelon sits out ripening on the vine, the sweeter the flavor, and in all likelihood, the greater development of some of these compounds that we'll talk about today.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I'm with you, Malcolm. This is summer to me, but we want to, it makes me bananas this time of year when I start seeing, and I even saw a couple of weeks ago, backpacks, school supplies, back to school sales, they're pushing pumpkin. I saw Halloween decorations already out. Makes me crazy. We've got summertime all the way until, second week of September. So let's enjoy
September 20. Yeah, September 20th or 21st is when, summer's over. So they start, as you said, I mean, you're already buy candy now already. I mean, they're just pushing, they're pushing Halloween in summer when we're still getting, we're out in the sun getting sunburned. It's
for me in New York, the summer was, even now, the summer's over when the kids go back to school and it's Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, that seems to be it.
I don't know if that makes sense to you, Courtney.
It makes sense to me. I remember that, we'd have to go back to school. Labor Day, Labor Day always is the people say, the summer's over on Labor Day. And so
yeah. So back to our summer, right? Because we're gonna hang on to this as long as we can.
We're hanging on to summer.
But the question I have, Courtney, because I noticed that your watermelon has seeds. Do you recommend, and now they have the seedless watermelon, what process does that go through, and is that as healthy as the seeded watermelon?
It is as healthy. It is a genetic processing, so they're bred to be seedless, like almost any other fruit that you might read about that's seedless. So seedless oranges and things like that. This came from, I think you guys know that I do a community-sponsored agriculture group. So this came from there. So it's, it is what it is. So it's fine. I think part of the seeds is kind of the, get rid of the seeds is part of the process of it.
Spitting them out, right?
So from a nutrition perspective, just like you said, Maxine, they're jam-packed for what they are. I mean, watermelon tastes great. It is one of the highest water-containing fruits. We spoke about this early on in the summer when we were talking about super hydrating foods. Right. And watermelon is definitely one of them. Most people know that it contains lycopene, which is that antioxidant that you mentioned. It contains the precursor to vitamin A, which is just a fancy way of saying the building blocks of things that will eventually turn into vitamin A. And that is called beta carotene. So that red, beautiful color is an indication of the presence of those compounds. But what some people might not know is that it contains an amino acid called citrulline. That's with a C, and I'll have it in the post in case you want to read about it. I feel like there's a big groundswell now of research. It's not brand new, but we're really seeing more and more research come out about the benefits of this amino acid. It's considered a non-essential amino acid, meaning that our bodies produce it on its own versus an essential amino acid, which has to be consumed in the diet or taken in some type of supplemental form. So even though our bodies produce it, it might not be producing enough of what we need in order to yield some of the benefits that we're seeing in the research. So for example, cardiovascular disease, reducing blood pressure. And one of the theories behind what citrulline might be doing is that it's considered a vasodilator. And so you think about anything that's going to open up the blood vessels, so that will help reduce blood pressure. We're seeing a little bit more research about its usefulness in helping with athletic performance. And the theory behind that is that it helps increase the transport of oxygen to working muscles, which is not only helpful in terms of how the muscle functions, but is critically important in terms of how that muscle repairs. So more and more research coming out about citrulline's role with regard to athletic performance. The research with regard to memory, sorry, go ahead, Malcolm.
No, just a point which it really has nothing to do with watermelon, but I know years ago, the Russian athletes used to do something which called blood doping, where what they would do is they would take out, a pint of blood from themselves. Then when the body was replace the blood in the body, and before the performance, they'd inject their own blood back to the body, so they were over. They had more blood than necessarily, but this blood had carried the oxygen to the muscle. Anyway, has nothing to do with what you were talking about.
Well, if they would have had watermelon,
maybe
they would have, then we wouldn't have to, go through all that because
blood doping.
So yes, that's actually, I know we're digressing here, but it's actually still done today. It's so not necessarily a new concept, but still done today. So that's one of the reasons why it may be beneficial. Where the research is a little bit new is with citrulline's role in helping with memory. So perhaps it does have something to do with that oxygen transport that we just spoke of, but they're really not exactly sure what might be the role. So at this point, if somebody were to say, well, then why don't I just supplement with citrulline? At this point, I would still have to say, slow your roll. It's a little early on. Why don't we try and get it in some of the foods that we eat? And one of the reasons that I have my blender out here is to make some watermelon ice cubes, so that come, maybe November and, December even, we have a good shot of citrulline infused watermelon sitting in our freezer when we're so looking for, a flavor of summertime. So I'm going to make just right here, super easy. Watermelon is a very forgiving fruit. I mean, you can put it into salads, you can mix it into drinks, into teas. I'm going to make some watermelon ice cubes, and it really isn't anything fancy. You need a blender, you need an ice cube tray, and of course you need the watermelon. But it's a great way to use up watermelon if you're not going to have it just as a sweet treat.
They have watermelon martinis now.
Ooh.
They have more. They have like stuff I saw when I was in Saratoga. I didn't get it, but they had like they had watermelon, drinks with watermelon. I'm like, okay,
why not? I mean, the thought alone is enough. Right?
That's right. So yeah, there were people drinking a lot because you saw the red. I'm like, what is that? And they go, it's watermelon. So it's good for you, right? It's good for you to have a watermelon martini. Why not? It's summertime.
You can make a mocktail out of it, or you can. I think it's a great way. This is one of my favorite ways. If I'm not just eating a watermelon boat, or my daughter actually likes them cubed, I'm using an ice cream scoop, a mini scooper here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. You can cut it up any way you want. There's nothing fancy about this. I just think this is easier. And in this case, because I'm actually talking and trying to pay attention, it's a lot safer for me, to not wheel
to use that
over a slippery watermelon. So it's basically however you want it, cubed, scooped melon ball, watermelon, some kind of very beautifully salty cheese, like a feta. You could do Reggiano if you want to, but you want a cheese that has that saltiness to it. Why? Well, it's a beautiful balance to the very sweet flavor of the watermelon. So I had in the bowl here a little bit of feta. I have just throwing in the watermelon balls that I have in there. Another fabulous summertime food, tomatoes, and we are just going to start seeing them keep popping up between now and straight through September if we're lucky. And you can, cut them. If you're using small little tomatoes, you're just going to have them and throw them in here. If you're using a large tomato, you can dice it, or just make it into, even size shapes to whatever shape you've cut the watermelon. just makes it easy. First of all, it's a nice presentation. And secondly, it makes it a lot easier to eat. If you have really tiny watermelon pieces, but ginormous, or bigger slices of tomato, it might not be as easy to eat.
Are you going to put this recipe online?
I certainly will.
Good. So folks, you got to go to the website, CourtneyGravenese.com, go to Instagram, go wherever your social media.
I can even do the TikTok now, right? So,
she is the TikTok. She's of this group. She's the only TikToker.
Yeah, another question, Courtney. Inside the watermelon, the white part of it and the rim, is that healthy to eat?
I don't think it's unhealthy or going to harm you. Some people, from a digestion perspective, won't digest that well. I do not think the rind, the outside part, is going to be particularly easy to digest. It's just too fibrous, and it certainly is not going to taste very good. I don't know if you've ever bitten into the rind of a watermelon. Yeah, it's a little rough.
Yeah, well, not the rind, but the white part, because I know when I have the watermelon, generally with the teeth, you scrape it so you get all the red or all the juicy part out, and you wind up eating part of the white rim.
I don't know how much lycopene. So remember that lycopene and the carotenoid content is usually attached to the colorful compound. So it might not have much of that, but that doesn't mean it won't have fiber to it or pectin. Now, watermelon is a wonderful fruit because it contains a type of fiber, it's insoluble but mostly soluble fiber. So pectin, it's very high in pectin content. So the white might be high in pectin. I have here just some mint. Again, I'm trying to use what's seasonal and available now, and I might have in my yard. It's a very forgiving salad. If you have a bumper crop of basil sitting on your window or on your deck, go ahead and snip that. Do a few, the slight chiffonade means just ribbons of it, and throw that in there. It's whatever you want. I happen to like the balancing flavor of the mint inside that, but that's what works for me. The only other things you really need here are a drizzle of olive oil. As good of an olive oil as you can get your hands on. And if that's out of budget, and I totally get it, because olive oil, extra virgin olive oil you can certainly use a canola oil, or I wouldn't use something like a coconut oil, although you know what, it might add a nice tropical flavor to it, perhaps.
Yum on.
What's that? Yeah.
Yum on.
So just
some tropical
a little
flavor.
drizzle of oil. Remember, you're going to get some saltiness from that feta. So before you throw any salt on here, I would definitely taste it beforehand. And then I have here 2 different balsamic vinegars. So I have a white balsamic and I have a fig balsamic. So again, whatever you have, if all you have is regular balsamic vinegar, this is of course fine. Use what's available in your home. I have these, so I'm going to use them. They're a little thicker. They almost have the consistency of a syrup. So it really clings to the food a little bit better, the fruits that are in here, rather than ending up in the bottom. So that's it. It is simplistically delicious. It uses a lot of the seasonal foods that we have available right now. You can serve it cold. You can serve it room temperature, although I really like it when it's cold. So that flavor. And again, it's a nice way to get a good dose of that citrulline in that watermelon. A couple of other sources. Again, I don't want to rush. I'm not jumping to fall, but it just happens to be that pumpkins.
It's the next season. Yep.
Are a good source of citrulline as well. So your squashes. So don't feel like once summer's gone, we're going to lose all of our citrulline food sources. It is in squash, pumpkin seeds. It is in cucumbers. And if you remember again, cucumbers is one of those very high water content foods, which is great for hydration. It's also excellent because of that citrulline content in there. And most of us can get cucumbers pretty much year round, which is great. So don't feel like it's only watermelon.
And for watermelon, just to bring back what we were trying to figure out, who did the song Watermelon Man. And it turns out it's Herbie Hancock. So you were close. You were close, Malcolm. Just a little, move yourself a little over. But yeah, that's who did it. There's a jazz. It's kind of a jazz and cool. Like they have a nice chorus. You know, hey,
like a calypso almost.
Right. Hey, what?
What's the song? It's a watermelon song.
It's called Watermelon Man. It's Herbie Hancock. It's mostly instrumental with some verse, I think.
The only verse I know is Watermelon Man.
No, it's Hey Watermelon Man. And then he goes doo, 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 with the horns come in. It's pretty cool. But yeah, and they've used it a lot on a lot of probably.
So I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing here, but I'm basically just taking out more of the watermelon and the juice. I'm going to use my spatula here for those of you who are just listening, and I'm just throwing it all into the jar of a blender. You could do a food processor if you want. You're just trying to create some kind of slush so that you can blend it and then put it into, it doesn't matter what kind of ice cube tray you're using, quite frankly. The only thing I would suggest, and I think when we did our episode on kitchen hacks, we talked about using ice cube trays to freeze things like herbs, garlic, in a little bit of olive oil. What I would discourage you from doing is using the same ice cube tray for something like this that you used for herbs or garlic, because it really does hang out in the container. So this is an extra large one that I have here. I love it. I make coffee cubes in the other one that I have, but this is a great way to, if you're getting watermelon now, and chances are you're getting it at the best prices of the season, because watermelon will, like you said, Malcolm, we'll get it, but it's going to be expensive come winter around here. So it's not necessarily considered a seasonal option, but throw that into the jar. I made sure I got this plugged in. Throw in a little juice in there. You might need to just
Taking off.
And we're going to put it in our ice cube tray, and then no surprise, we're going to put it inside our freezer. Once it's frozen solid, you're going to want to take it out of the ice cube tray and put it in something that can be sealed. So either a resealable container that you use, glass or otherwise, or in a Ziploc bag that you can seal. That way it keeps it fresh and keeps the other flavors in the freezer from imparting on these ice cubes. So you can use these in smoothies throughout the next couple of months. You can use it just to flavor your water.
How does the juice taste straight?
Say that again?
How does the juice taste straight? The one that you have in the mixer?
It tastes, it's just like you'd think, blended watermelon on its own. It's wonderful. And from my perspective and in my opinion, it doesn't need anything else. I think it's, like I said, it's a great way to make iced teas. It's a really great way to use in fruit flavored smoothies. And because I'm always trying to encourage folks to drink more water and stay hydrated, some people just don't like the flavor of plain water. So enter frozen watermelon cubes, nice citrulline content, a little lycopene, and it's a great way to add some flavor. So I'm a big fan. You can pretty much do this with anything, but I feel like the research behind citrulline, we're going to keep reading. It's going to be sort of the amino acid to follow. And so I'm trying to find ways to encourage people to get as much as they can in their diet. And there we have it. Those go in the freezer, and I will post the recipe on online, and easy enough to do. So
I think I want to become your agent. I should contact the watermelon people, because the way you describe watermelon, it's almost like the perfect food to eat. It has so many benefits, and it tastes good also.
Yeah, low in calories.
I never see it promoted on TV.
I guess the Watermelon Council doesn't, they don't need to. People, it's word of mouth. Everyone wants to.
I wish. When was the last time you saw cauliflower or the kale board or the broccoli board?
Right,
there's not there.
They don't do that.
I understand watermelon became very expensive this summer. Something
Well,
happened, and
well, there's a drought. There's a lot of issues going on
Yes.
right now, and the earth is parched here, and that's an issue.
Yes.
I hope we get some rain here. We're on watch for
well, could come out to California. We're in critical condition.
we're in drought watch here in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah. So, and it's tough on the farmers. So if you can support your, if you're
Right.
able to, I get it. Folks have, everybody's, is stretched, some people are able to support, pay a little bit more and go to farmers markets and support farmers in that way. I will say that a lot of markets now are accepting, the bank, the credits that you can use towards food,
Mhm.
but supporting your local farmer, because they, it's a lot of work to keep these crops irrigated in the absence of
Right.
rain. So they're working very, very hard to try and keep the food supply moving along. But obviously work within your budget. If you're going to buy a watermelon like this and it's too much for your family, maybe split it with a neighbor or a family member. And quite frankly, that goes for any food. I always try and layer in sort of an economic slice of sense in there. And I think we need to do what's best overall, but individually people need to work within the budget that they have.
People also need to conserve what, we'd help the farmers. A lot of people we need to help, but if we try to conserve at least, from an individual level,
Yeah.
shorter showers, drips, if anything, drip and fix it. Just try to do things you can do, less watering of the lawn. I think there's going to be days where you can't water now. They're going to put that in effect.
Right.
And you gotta be, looking out for yourself and also for, society at large, especially right now, the farmers, as you said, they're having not a good time because they can't irrigate crops. So
Where do they grow watermelon?
I'm assuming I know you can, Northeast gets them. These are all local. These are not coming from very far. So I think it lends itself to a lot of different parts of this country. And then based on what I saw while I was in, when I was in Europe, apparently all it needs is a little bit of, I think very cold climates, it's just not going to work. Chances are up in northern, like Maine, they're not growing a whole lot of watermelon, but as long as there's a decent amount of warmth, and I think
is there an ecological way of disposing of the rind? Anything better than just throwing in the garbage?
Oh, sure, you could throw it in, you can compost it.
Compost it, yeah.
And quite frankly, I know I have some friends who live in more rural areas of, the Northeast, and they're obviously not hurling it in their neighbor's backyard because they have a couple of acres of property. But, the rinds can go
into the ground.
There's nothing, they could just throw it
into the forest.
Into the forest, and it's not hurting anybody. Again, listen, if you've got a neighbor nearby you, not cool. Don't throw your garden.
Throw your garbage on your neighbor's property. They won't.
Exactly.
Not garbage. Don't throw your rinds on the.
Well received.
The neighbors won't like that. So we have enough to deal with.
So we talked about lycopene, and we talked about the citrulline, and we talked about ways to find it, particularly in watermelon. Enjoy summer, and we've got pretty much a full month left of it. Don't feel like we need to rush through it. Enjoy the produce that we have available to us right now. That will become, again, like I said, it's the least expensive it will be. It'll probably be the tastiest because it's not coming from very far away. And it's incredibly nutritious. A lot of these crops that are coming in right now. And of course, once we get to fall, we'll talk about that incredible bounty as well.
Back east, when I think of summertime, I think of watermelon and I think of sweet corn.
Yep.
Well, this is corn season 2 now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anyway, guys, it's time to wrap up.
It's time to wrap up.
Time to wrap up. Actually,
okay.
I can truly say we had a delicious show.
I gotta go get some watermelon now.
I'll share
I'm gonna just come over to your house and
come
on down. So
you live about 2 blocks away.
it's not. I don't know how we can. what if it was blocks? I don't know. It's down the road a piece, as they say in the South. Where's the farm? Down the road a piece.
Well, your block is 2.5 acres.
Well, my block is like almost 2 acres, yeah. Which I'm lucky to have, believe me. So thanks for joining us for Courtney on Health. To get more info, follow Courtney on her Facebook page, Courtney on Health, on Instagram at CLG Wellness, which is also her TikTok handle there. Visit her website, CourtneyGravities.com. For more shows, go to MalcolmPresents.com and theManyShadesOfGreen.com. This has been Courtney on Health, smart, sound nutrition, strong, safe fitness, and we'll catch you again next time.
Yeah, well, just to remind you guys, Courtney on Health, all the back shows are on MalcolmPresents.com, so you can go back and have a whole nutritional education just listening to Courtney, aside from the exercise things. Anyway, guys, it's been fun.
All right.
Go
have some water.
Enjoy
your watermelon.
And welcome back.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.